Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Today, joined by Dave Harris, the Irish Hotspur, the only Irish Hotspur out there. What a great channel. How you doing, Dave? You good?
Yeah, not too bad, Savva. Not too bad. Now that we're winning games, I feel a little bit better.
Winning game. Yeah. Well, look,
Coventry, I include Coventry.
I'm sure we're going to change that tomorrow night as well. And look, first of all, please do get over and support Dave and Jack. They put on these guys put a lot of effort into their channel. They give you a lot of different shows, fan member shows, prediction shows, watch-alongs, pre-watch-alongs, after watch-along. So please get over and subscribe to Dave and Jack, and the link will be in the chat. Big up to each and every one of you. As you start watching this video, please smash the like button and please do subscribe. Keep it clean in the chat as well. Dave, I want to talk today about, we've got a busy few days. We've reached that part of the season now where all of a sudden the games are coming thick and fast, and we're about to see what the squad, not just Spurs, all clubs that are in European football are about to see. How do we rotate? What are the squads made of? And how do we cope with the mentality of playing Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday? So we'll start with the Europa League, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
And before we actually look at Tottenham and look at the fixtures, I want to look at the teams that are in the competition. And I also want to get your opinion of the new structure of the Europa League. Because for me, Dave, it's grown on me. Whenever anything's announced that's different, we have a tendency in life to go, oh, why are you doing that? Oh, no, leave it as it is. But I quite like it, and we'll get into that a bit later. But look, here's the let me share my screen. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully it's not too small. You can see there that the clubs there are listed alphabetically. So Tottenham aren't fourth from bottom. We're just there because of alphabetically. Look, Dave, when you look at that, when you look at those 36 teams that are starting this competition, what do you make of it? What stands out to you? What do you think about these 36 teams as a collective?
I think some of the bigger teams in it are probably even match the likes of Lazio, Roma, United, Spurs to a degree, Porto. I think you'll see a lot of them maybe in the quarterfinals shooting it out. But for me, I actually like the new Europa League format, Savva. I really like it. I like the fact that it's all one big league. It's probably an interpretation of the Super League, probably trying to get people used to it and eventually head that way. We know what these people are like with all the money. They'll never stop until they get what they want. But I actually like the new format. It sort of gives you, look, I think it's the bottom 8 teams that don't go through. You'd want to be absolutely woeful not to get out of this big, long group. But I'm really excited for the Europa League, Savva. I think we've got a really good chance to get to Bilbao in the final, providing that we can turn over one or two big teams later on in the competition. That's what it all comes down to. Like, the group stage for me is going to be fairly easy. We should win most of our games, handy enough. It's the latter stages where you're going to get some of the bigger teams. Do we have that nerve? Do we have that guile to hold out away from home and then take them at home and go and beat them? Look what happened to Zagreb in this competition to us a few years ago. You can very easily be caught on your day. So let's wait and see what's in store. But I'm really excited for the Europa League. I can't wait. I think we've got a really, really good chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I was just looking at the format. Every time I feel like I've got the format sorted in my head, I have to go back and double check that I understand what's going on. So my understanding is that there's 36 teams that we see here. The top 8 go through to the knockout stages automatically. I believe the next 8 then play each other in. Then the 16 below that play each other to go to the knockout phases, but they play home and away. And I believe that the bottom 12 go out of the competition. Listen, do you know what? Let's double check that. We can have a look. So here, if we look at the table, if we look at the table here, look again. I mean, look, it's a huge league table, isn't it? I mean, when you go right the way from Ajax all the way down to Victoria Poznan, there's a lot of teams in there. First and foremost, I think it's really important, Dave, for any club. Yeah, you want to get through, but you don't really want to be in that middle 16 because it adds another 2 games to your, to your calendar. And also, you don't know who you're going to get in that 16. And one tough away game, you're out, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. So are you comfortable? And we'll look at the fixtures in a minute. Are you comfortable when you look at this 36 that we are in that top 8 and that the games we've got, we're going to have enough points to be in the top 8 come the end of those games?
Look, don't get me wrong. Some of these European sides can be a bit tricky. They can be hard to beat and can catch you on the break. But look, when you look at the fixtures that we've been drawn, Qarabag, Ferencvaros, Rangers to a degree, we should be beating them. AZ Alkmaar, we saw Troy Parrott to them. We should be beating them. The only two tricky sort of fixtures we have is the Roma one and the Galatasaray one. The good thing about the Roma one is it's at home, so I'm hoping that we can take points there. The Galatasaray one away is going to be a difficult one, especially if we make changes and play the likes of Berg, Val, Gray. The atmosphere out in Turkey is completely different to the Premier League. It's intimidating. They take no prisoners out there. So, there's going to be a couple of good tests within the first, six games we have or 8 games we have. There's going to be a couple of good tests in there. But for me, I think we should have more than enough to get out of in the top 8. When you look at some of the teams there, if we don't get out in the top 8, then something's gone drastically wrong in my eyes. You're not going to get a better chance with the draw that we've got. We've avoided a lot of the bigger teams because you can only play 2 teams in the first pot. We got 2 teams, and I think we got the better of the draw, the teams we could have got. I thought if we got Porto, that would have been a bit of a nightmare, But the teams we got, I think, are beatable. I think we should qualify in the top 8 and out into the last 16.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at that, actually, let me put the matches into a different format because that'll be a lot easier. If we look at this, you can see here, I think what we've got to begin with, Dave, for me, and look, you know me, I'm not one that says, oh, they're rubbish, we're going to win. I think every team deserves this respect. You've got to go and beat them. But I think what you were talking there about the tricky games in this group, I don't think the tricky games come in the first 3. And I think that is what I think allows us to get off to a brilliant start. Yeah. For me, I don't know about you, I'm looking at this and saying, right, Spurs, after the first 3 games, should be in that top 3 or 4 or 5 of teams that win their first 3 games, and we're thereabouts, depending on goal difference, right? Because that's going to be really important as well. Yeah. Qarabag at home, we'll get into that in a minute. Ferencvaros, I watched them in their knockout game, actually, purely because I had a bet on them, actually, Dave. I had to bet on them. They were in my ACCA. I was watching them on Bet365, and I was thinking, I didn't know Spurs had drawn them, right? Because they hadn't qualified yet. And they were okay, neat, tidy, but there shouldn't be enough there to to worry us. And then Alkmaar at home, AZ Alkmaar, decent European football team, but it should be at home. For me, Dave, I think this is the 3 games for me that I think decides whether or not we go straight through in the 8. I think Galatasaray, I don't care if Galatasaray have got the worst. I'm not saying they have. They could have the worst team they've had in years. Galatasaray on a Thursday night under the lights. No one wants to do that. No one, right? Roma just sacked their manager. So, again, look, early days, but they sacked their manager because they didn't win in 5. They get to the weekend straight away, 3-0 win. So you don't know what they're going to be like. And Rangers, again, on paper, I fancy Spurs to beat Rangers every week. But Glasgow, horrible, they'll make it a horrible atmosphere. Do you agree? Do you disagree in terms of the first 3 versus this 3 and where we really need to get off to a good start because of this 3 games?
No, 100%. Look, I get about respecting the opposition, but Qarabag's from Azerbaijan. If they're in the English pyramid, they'd probably be League 1 at best. Should be beating them.
Agreed.
Ferencvaros, the exact same thing. AZ Alkmaar would be a championship team at best in the English pyramid. So them 3 should be 9 points on the board. No excuses, no slip-ups. Look, I agree with you when it comes to Galatasaray. I'm not looking forward to that. I think we might have to go with a bit more experienced squad away from home there. Mixed in with some of the youngsters to sort of put them through their paces. Roma, not going to be easy, like you said, sacked their manager. I couldn't believe they sacked the manager, by the way, after, what he's helped deliver for them. But not going to be an easy game, but the fact that it's at home, I'm hoping we can nick that one. Rangers away, I'm actually not really too bothered about. They haven't had a great start to the season up in Scotland. They haven't really been able to make too many transfers because of financial issues. They're playing in the Scottish National Stadium, not their own, because there was delay in getting their stadium ready for the season and stuff like that. For me, I'm not really too worried about Rangers. I get what you mean. Look, it's going to be probably a Wednesday, Thursday night up in Glasgow, cold. Probably wet, windy, rainy. It takes a certain type of character to get out and enjoy them sort of games. Not everybody wants to be out there, so I get what you're saying. But look, if we have ambitions of winning trophies, if we have ambitions of trying to get inside the top four, in the Premier League this year, you've got to be beating teams like Rangers. It's that simple.
No, listen, I completely agree with you. It's really weird, isn't it? When I look at our fixtures, I think most of ours actually fall on a Thursday, but it's so weird. Like when I look today to see, right, where's my ACCA going to be, right, across Europe tonight? Seeing all these Europa League games on a Wednesday just feels wrong, doesn't it? It doesn't, it just doesn't feel right. But
same with Champions League games on a Thursday.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. But look, Dave, then when we go, look, Hoffenheim away, again, Hoffenheim I think won't be easy because they're a decent team, but Elfsborg at home, there are enough games there that should see us in the top 8. Dave, I wanted to see if you agree with me on this. I'll tell you what I really like about this format is because there isn't 8 different groups, 12 different groups, right? I love the fact that no one can say, oh, do you know what, we just play for we can play for the draw because we know we've got them next week at home, for example. You can't do that because you don't know what the other 35 teams are going to do that week in your group, right? In the table. I like that makes it more competitive. I like that it means goal difference is really, really important because I feel like we could be at a stage, Dave, not Spurs, I mean, in general, where come game week 8, I think you're going to have a few teams that are all on the same points and some don't make it because of goal difference. So this makes it more exciting, doesn't it? More games, but more exciting, right?
100%. And, the last 2 great games of the group, usually a lot of them can be dead rubbers. There's going to be no dead rubbers, really. Very little dead rubbers in this, and I think most of the games are going to be a very good watch. I really like the format. I also like the fact that there's no Champions League teams dropping down, where they have that safety net. I like that, whoever is in this league now is who's in it between now and the end of the competition. But also, it gives you an incentive to go out there and try and win every single game to get out in that top 8, It gives you that extra incentive to go out there and perform in these competitions, not really take any of the games lightly and stuff like that. I really, really like it. If anyone that is a bit of a nerd like me and has played Football Manager this year, they have that format in the Champions League, in the Europa League, in the Europa Conference League as well. I think it works really, really well. Makes a great competition.
I think you're bang on as well about the dead rubbers because normally when you get to game week, normally it's 6 games, right? Normally when you get to game week 6, it's like, oh well, Spurs have qualified, so they can put out a B team, so to speak, or kids because we're through. Now though, it's going to be, well, hang on, all right, we're on the same points as 6 or 7 other teams that have also qualified, but we need to make, you know what I mean? So yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And look, let's move to Qarabag this weekend. Look, I did some research on Qarabag, and a lot of people were saying, oh, listen, they're a good team. They had a really good run last year. And I think a lot of that is based off of their 2 games against Bayer Leverkusen. They gave Bayer Leverkusen a really, really good run for their money. And if I remember rightly, I think Leverkusen were 2-1 down with about 10 minutes to go and did what Bayer Leverkusen do and score late goals. But I've looked at them this season, Dave, and this is a Qarabag team that have lost 5-0 on aggregate to Dynamo Zagreb in the Champions League qualification, which is obviously why they're in Europa League. Let's be fair, there can't be any excuses. Tomorrow needs to be wham, bam, 3 points in the bag, move on, right? There can't be an excuse for drawing or dropping points in this fixture, can there?
No, not at all. I mean, and that's a Zagreb team that got slapped up. What was it, 8 or 9-0 by Bayern Munich there recently as well. So, this is, This Qarabag, honestly, if we draw that game, I'm going to look at it like a loss. You know, you have to be beating teams like Qarabag. If you don't, you've got serious problems. Now, look, they're probably going to come in and try and do what a lot of other teams do to us: sit back, frustrate us, keep it tight,
Sure.
hit us on the
Sure.
counter. It's
Sure.
up to us to go and show the quality in these games, the desire, the hunger, the nous, the guile to be able to break down these low blocks, try different things. And look, in a way, I think it'll be a good test for some of the Premier League games we come up against. In these sort of midweek games, I feel like the players think they can probably try a little bit more, be a bit more, not loose in possession, but try a little bit more in possession than maybe what they would in the Premier League game because of the fear of the counter-attack, which hopefully then gives them the confidence when they go out and play these sort of teams after a while that they know exactly what to do, how to do it. But look, Qarabag, like I said, they're from the Azerbaijan League. I mean, look, people can say it's disrespectful all they want. If we don't beat these, I give up.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that the key thing here is what you just mentioned there. We've started to see it more and more under this style under Ange Postecoglou. We've started to see that lots of teams, whether that be Premier League, Cup, whatever, they come to, especially to White Hart Lane, I'll always call it that. They come to White Hart Lane and they have no interest in possession. They have no interest in let's go and attack Spurs. They sit in, they want to soak up, they want to hit us on the break. And if you're going to be a top team, if that's the aim, this is what Man City face 50, 60 games a season. So when people say Man City are boring, lots of pass swing sideways, Man City don't have a choice. People put 10 men behind them and say, break us down. Now, you're right. Spurs are going to have to find a way because all four teams come into White Hart Lane in the Europa League. So if we look at that, you've got Qarabag, AZ Alkmaar, Roma, and Elfsborg. All of them will sit in. Even a quality team like Roma, who will have a lot more than the other three, will sit in and try and hit us. It's going to be a lot of discipline, right, Dave? And this is where I'm going to ask you the question. Knowing that we need that discipline, knowing that we need patience to break these teams down, knowing that they are going to... Listen, I'm not saying we can't batter a couple of them, but knowing that it's going to be tough, definitely for the first 20, 30 minutes of games. Do you go strong? Like, do you go first team strong against these teams? Or do you say, right, Bergvall, Gray, Oderbers, Spence, sorry, can't put Spence in. Do you put the youngsters in and say, this is your time to shine? Or do you go with the experience to really go and get the job done?
Do you know what? It's a tricky one for me, Savva, because I'm one of them. You know, when I grew up, I watched Tottenham go and play Shamrock Rovers. I watched them go and play Hearts in competitions like this. We've played youngsters with a mix of, some of the players on the periphery or returning from injury. And we've gone out and slapped these teams up, put 4 or 5 by them with absolute ease. I get some people would say football's changed, to a certain degree. Teams are probably better out of possession and stuff like that now. But for me, I think, pick your games. I think the likes of Galatasaray away, Hoffenheim away, maybe Roma at home is where I would look maybe for a bit more experience in the squad. But likes of Qarabag, if we can't send out Bergvall, Gray, some of the youngsters, maybe Will Lancashire, he's back in training, see how fit he is. If we can't send out some of these guys to go and get the job done, then, and we have to rely on the first 11 every single week, then it proves the point, that many people are saying that we haven't had a good transfer window. We should be able to walk into these games and rely on some of the squad players to go out there and play ball. Look, what happened against Coventry tonight was absolutely disgraceful. I get what people say when, he's made so many changes, it's going to take them a while to gel. I can understand that for maybe the first 10, 15 minutes, getting used to the rhythm and the movement of each other. But these guys are passing together each week in training. They're doing the same patterns, with each other in training. So after 10 to 15 minutes, they should have a grip, and really go at them. What we seen against Coventry was piss poor. And yes, we can blame Ange Postecoglou for everything. But some of these players are players that are looking to break into that first 11, looking to put pressure on them, looking to get more minutes and earn more trust off the bench. And I don't feel like any of them, bar maybe Bergvall and Jed Spence to a certain degree because he saved us, have really gone and done that. I think the attitude of our backup players are really piss poor at Tottenham Hotspur and have been for quite some time. And we've changed squads and it still seems to be that sort of attitude there. These players have to go out here and start grabbing their minutes. And we have to go out there with a load of balls. We have to go out there and start popping the ball around with a bit of pace, with a bit of urgency, start moving off the ball with a bit of pace, with a bit of urgency.
Yeah.
It's almost like they go into these games, Sav, and they take the foot off the brake, and it's almost like it's grand. We'll catch them eventually. We'll get over the line. And that has almost been what's cost us for many years in these cup competitions, that sort of attitude. But teams that come out and play a low block, it's just about moving the ball quickly, moving with a bit of purpose. We do it too slow, and I don't think we take enough risk. There against Brentford, one thing I did like is that we bombarded them at every opportunity we could get. Crosses into the box, balls through the centre, balls over the top. I haven't seen enough of that at Tottenham Hotspur. And at the end of the day, the reason why teams are coming up and setting up a lot of this way against us, this low block, is because every team or most teams have had joy doing it. And it's up to us to prove to them that you're going to have to find a different way of playing against us, because if you play this, you're just inviting us into your final third, and we're going to absolutely punish you. So it's the only way this is going to stop these low blocks is if we go out and absolutely devastate them and make them come up with a different way of playing against us.
Do you know what? The two words that I really relate to there was, urgency and bravery. And I completely agree with you. At the moment, it seems very much like something has to happen in a game for the urgency to be sparked. We have to go a goal down against Coventry. We have to go a goal down against Newcastle. So I agree. And Brentford, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the things I remember. If you remember going back to the Harry Redknapp era, I always remember Spurs used to come from the kickoff. It was like, wow, Spurs are going at you. Yeah. Lennon was flying that way, Bale was flying that, and it was like, we're going to go at you. Now, that's fine, and hopefully we mature into that type of a football team. But you're right, we need to be braver. For me, you look at the Coventry game and forget that we didn't play well. When you have that much of the football, you've got to see more. You've got to, when you have that much of the ball, I expect a Coventry back four to be under pressure. I expect goal line clearances. I expect their centre halves to come off with bloody noses because they've blocked everything and anything, and their elbows are flying. That's what we need to see. But yeah, look, with that in mind, then tomorrow night, Romero can't play. We know he's serving his 1-game suspension. For you, is it a simple formality of Dragashin coming into that back four, or do you think we're going to see more changes in that back four? Maybe an Archie Gray for Porro. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow, team-wise?
I think Archie Gray will definitely come in for Porro. I think Ange Postecoglou wants to get minutes into the guy's leg at right back and sort of test him out. Dragashin obviously walks back in for Romero.
Yeah.
Do you bring Ben Davies in for Van de Ven, or do you bring him in for Destiny Udogie this time? Because we made a rod off our own back not being able to, bring another fullback in this squad. So either Destiny Udogie or Van de Ven is going to have to play. I wouldn't be surprised to see a change in goalkeeper either, Savva, with Fraser Forster. Don't get me wrong. It nearly come back to cost us against Coventry so bad. It's like the guy was trying to catch a bar of soap at times. 30 seconds into the game, he goes to pass it to Bergvall, puts it 10 yards to the side of him, gives Coventry an opening straight away, and gave them the belief almost, straight away. Go at these guys. There's nothing to be afraid of. They're going to force them into a mistake. So I think it will be Fraser Forster and goals, right back Pedro Porro. I'm going to go with Dragashin and Van de Ven at centre back, with Destiny Udogie at left back. But just stay switched on. Don't give anything away. Don't give them an opening inside the first 2-3 minutes from sloppy passing, sloppy possessions, because all you're going to do is give them belief. And once you give them belief, them sort of underdogs, they tend to galvanize behind it and really muck in for each other. So it's about us being assured from the off.
They've got nothing to lose. All the pressure. And listen, I fully expect to win this game comfortably, and we'll get to scores in a minute, but I fully expect to win this comfortably. But what you don't want to do, as you said, you don't want to give an underdog that's something to hold on to, right? You don't want to give them a 1-0 lead where they go, do you know what, guys? Don't leave our penalty area now. Don't leave it. It's going to be interesting because we talk about, do we play our best team in it and we go out to try and win it? But then you've got squad players that they've got to get minutes somewhere, right? The Ben Davises of the squad, the Archie Grays, the Dragashins. I know he's got to play tomorrow, but these are the questions that the manager's got to answer. The Bergvalls coming in. You've got at the weekend, was it Papa Sarr and Basuma didn't start? So you've got these players going, hang on, I need minutes. The forward line, though, I mean, the forward line, does it pick itself for you now with Solanke, Son, Johnson? Do you see any other permutation for tomorrow's game?
I'll be brutally honest. I think with Son getting, what is he, 32 years of age now, he's not getting any younger. I think, in order for him to last the whole season, if we want to go deep in some of these competitions, I think right now is the right time to sort of hold his minutes, hold his minutes back and keep his legs fresh for the business end of the season, because he's going to be the one that we are going to rely on. And to be honest, quite frankly, I was pissed off that we had to bring him off the bench against Coventry. Same with James Maddison, to try and go and win this game. For me, keep him on the bench if you need him. Hopefully, we don't have to rely on him whatsoever. I would like to see someone like Mikey Moore given, a couple of minutes, something like that. And because Ange Postecoglou seems to be very hesitant. I don't understand I can understand to a certain degree why he didn't bring him off the bench against Coventry. I'd argue probably should have started or could have brought him off the bench sooner. If he starts Werner, I am going to lose my mind. It's pointless giving that guy game.
He's going to, right, Dave?
Probably, yeah.
Listen, let's play the hypothetical game. Son is rested for this game. Hypothetically, we don't know, but Son is rested. You and I believe, would both sit here and go, go on, give Mikey Moore a start. Let's see what he can do against a team from Azerbaijan. No disrespect, but let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
Ange, for me, his mindset will be more, well, hang on. I've got Timo Werner in the squad. I didn't bring Timo Werner on against Brentford. He's got to get minutes because he's on 165 grand a week. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I just get the feeling he would rather do that. But Dave, for you as a fan, I can only speak for me. I'm asking you, if you did see Mikey Moore starting, does that give you a little bit more of a, not that you're not excited for the game, but does that give you a little bit more of a, I want to see this kid. I want to see what he can do. Because for me, I like that. I want to see that. I want to, rather than Timo Werner, where you go, do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. And the thing is, I wouldn't be sitting here calling for it if I didn't think that, some of these kids had the talent to be able to come in and sort of handle themselves at this level. And from what I've seen preseason, Mikey Moore can handle himself in terms of physically, but not only that, he was probably our best winger preseason. He scored goals. He was a constant threat. Whatever. Most of the time he played off the right. He played one game off the left, but he was better than Timo Werner. I thought he was better than Johnson, better than most of our wingers in terms of preseason. But Mikey Moore, I think it's more so. I agree with you. It's the excitement. I want to see what this guy can bring. But I also believe Ange Postecoglou probably buys himself a bit more time, in terms of in the job, but also pressure-wise. If he turns to some of these youngsters, there's something Pochettino done at Tottenham Hotspur. He turned to the youngsters. He brought up the likes of Bentaleb, Mason, turned to the likes of Walker Rose, who had been loaned out for quite some time. They almost bought him a bit of time, that bit of patience from the Spurs fan base to a certain degree. And I think Postecoglou would be wise doing the exact same thing. What I don't understand is the amount of effort we put into keeping a lot of these kids, getting them to sign new long-term deals, and then some of them are being shipped out on loan. You would argue, could they have made a difference in the first couple of games where we were struggling to break teams down? And then a couple of them are being kept around, but they're not really getting any game time. And honestly, I'm starting to think the longer someone like me sits here and calls for Mikey Moore to get minutes over Werner, the more Ange Postecoglou is just going to, sort of resent against it. Because one thing he does not like is outside noise or being told what to do. And I feel like the more people call for it, the more he's just going to go the other way and double down and give Werner minutes.
The interesting thing, though, is, I mean, look, I don't want to make this about Timo Werner, but, this is what that signing did. This signing did block the path. And I get it. If you bring in a signing and you go, right, this is our first choice player, he's brilliant, and the youngsters are going to learn off him, you go, great.
Yeah,
but you've bought in a bloke on 165, 170 grand a week, whatever it is, to sit on the bench because he's not going to start. And what it's doing is people like Mikey Moore another obstacle to overcome to get in the team. But look, I'd like to see...
It's not even an obstacle, though, Savva. It's not. The guy's a robot. He can't move. Mikey Moore, if I'm Mikey Moore, I'm sitting there, I'm going, why am I not getting minutes ahead of him? I'm so much better than him. Technical-wise, I'm better than him. In the final third, I've got more composure than him. I'm bigger, I'm stronger than him. Okay, I don't have his pace. But with how good I am on the ball always moves faster than the player anyway. So, give me my minutes. If I'm Mikey Moore, I'm furious. I'm sitting there going, well, hang on, I had Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, Barcelona, all these other top clubs after me. I chose to stay here because I thought this would be my best way into first team football. I also support the club, but at every opportunity, they're telling me no. It's not going to. Someone like Mikey Moore ain't going to take that for too long.
I agree. When I'm saying about obstacle, I don't mean in terms of Werner's ability. I just mean in terms of there's somebody else there's another body to jump in front of. And when you look around, like last night, Man City played a 16-year-old at centre half. Man City played a 16-year-old kid at centre back against Watford, who I would think that Watford would probably give Qarabag a good game of football, right? So for me, if they can do that at centre half, you've got, Barcelona at the moment. I don't know if you've seen, Barcelona have got every match day, they've got like 7, 17, 16, 18-year-olds all in the 11 or 20-man squad. Like, surely we can put one on left wing or right wing, can't we? But look, before we move to Man United, give me a score prediction for tomorrow. Qarabag.
Do you know what? I'm going to go 3-0. I know we don't keep clean sheets, but if you don't keep a clean sheet against Qarabag, we're not going to keep one for the rest of the season, or we're going to keep very, very little. And we should be scoring goals. I don't care if they sit 11 men behind the box. These half of them are probably guys, that have only, probably worked during the day and come and play a bit of football at night time. I don't mean any disrespect, but, it's Qarabag FC at the end of the day. We should be playing these off the park. We should be scoring goals. And people that go, Dave, you're being naive. I'm not. I grew up, like I said, watching Tottenham go and slap Shamrock Rovers, go and slap Hearts with half a team, or putting out teams that have never played together before and going and finding 4 or 5 goals. We don't do the same here. I'm going to be deeply annoyed. But I'm going to go 3-0.
Yeah, do you know what? I had 3-0 in my head as well. And the exact same sentiment, Dave, not just copying you. This has got to be a game where you get a clean sheet as well.
Yeah.
This for me, it can't be a 3-2. It can't be that we're looking around and going, another 2 goals conceded, but looking at the league table, Qarabag are top of the Azerbaijan league with a game in hand, Dave. So, look, they are handy. Let's move to the Premier League. Look, I think we both agree that we should be beating Qarabag. And what would be great to see, just quickly to round that off, would be after match day 1, I want to see Spurs in that top 2 or 3 with a nice 3-4-0 win, a +3, +4 goal difference, and straight away you go, that's why they're one of the favourites to win it. Right? They're there. That's what I want to see.
But just on that, Savva, that's something that we have to learn to start dealing with as a football club. Anytime there's any bit of pressure on the football club, the players go under, the manager sort of, I wouldn't say goes under, but, is fighting with everybody. The fan base sort of, we turn very, very quickly, and I get it because, we're so starved for success. But as a club, as a whole, everybody, we have to learn to start dealing, mainly the players on the pitch, but have to start learning to deal with being favourites, start learning to deal with them tags, and start learning to play with pressure on this football club. It's like a lot of people come to this football club, and the pressure we put on it, and, maybe the way they come to this football club, it doesn't really match up. People feel like they can come to this football club. It's okay if you win. It's okay if you don't. There's not too much pressure, and it doesn't add up to what the fans want. So it's about time a lot of these guys start playing under the pressure and standing up and stop wilting. They nearly wilted against Coventry. Embarrassing. They need to stand up now and start living up to these tags.
A bit like what Kane was saying. I know Kane got a lot of stick when he spoke last season about, the pressure of me being at Bayern Munich is win, 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 win. At Spurs, there wasn't that pressure. A lot of our fans took offence to that, but I thought it was...
It's true.
It's true. I like that. But look, you're bang on. I can think of so many occasions in the last decade or 2 where you've gone, right, if Spurs win today, we go top. If Spurs win today, we clinch that. And then you always go, we've lost that one, or blah, blah, blah. But look, let's see. Let's go out and make a statement in the Europa League. Let's get 8 wins from 8, 7 wins from 8. Let's make the other teams in Europe turn around and go, okay, Spurs are taking this seriously. What we don't want to be is we don't want to be in that 16, Yeah. We don't want to be 10th, 11th, 12th of the 36. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, right, okay, we've got a home game. I'm making this up. You've got a home game against Lyon and you're playing Lyon away. I'm just making that up. But Lyon away, second leg. Do you really? I don't want to be in that position. No. It's an extra 2 games. And again, I don't think people will take us seriously if we don't finish in that top 8. So for me, come out, get the wins, move on. Let's quit moaning and bitching about playing Thursdays and Sundays. That's what we want.
Yep.
Yeah. Man City, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, Chelsea. These clubs have been doing this decade in, decade out and winning things. So for me, it can't be, oh, well, we weren't very good on the Saturday or Sunday because we played on the Wednesday or Thursday. The mentality, you're right, Dave, has to change.
Yeah.
The owners, the manager, the players, and the fans. I think we've all got to get on board with that. Look, let's move to the Premier League, seeing as we're now going to beat Qarabag 9-0. Let's move on to the Premier League. Look, it was thick and fast. We play Thursday night. We then, Friday to rest. There'll be a little bit of training Saturday. Train, I'm guessing, up to Manchester on the Sunday. So there's not really a lot of time after the Qarabag game to go into the tactics of Man United. But I get the feeling it's going to be a very, very different proposition to the Brentford game, where I'm not saying we won't have a lot of the ball, but Man United will and have for many years stunk places out, and every now and then they get that result. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Every now and then they get slapped up, but every now and then they get that result. And I said earlier this week, Dave, for me, I think Spurs are a little bit like Man United, and not in terms of style of play, but I think both teams are erratic. I think both teams are capable of great wins, but also capable of results where you go, oh, God, that's so... I don't know what the Man United word for Spursy is, but do you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's just... This is a big game, right, Dave? This is a really big game because I'm just going to show you this, right? If I share the Premier League table here, hopefully that's come up on the screen now. If I share the Premier League table, so we can see that both teams, they'll both be sitting in an area of the pitch, of the table where they don't want to be, right? Yeah. Early doors, of course. But, Dave, we're saying it's early doors. The problem is, for whichever team loses this game, you now start finding yourself, you're going to look at the Chelseas, the Arsenals, the Villas, the Liverpools. Most of these clubs are going to pick up points. For whoever loses that, suddenly that gap that grows between the top 4 and the team that loses, all right, it's only 6 games, but straight away, when you're 6 points behind, now you're playing catch-up. Now, what we do between now and the end of the season, we have to hope that those teams above us lose 2 more games than we do. So, am I dramatising this, or is this a big game even at this stage?
No, it's a huge game. Thank God it's not going to be El Saka goal like I once feared. It could be another El Saka goal. And it still could be when you look at both teams' positions and that. But look, for me, I think if we lose this game, I think it puts a massive amount of pressure on Tottenham in terms of the league. But I also feel like it probably gives the players an excuse to slack off in the league the longer the Europa League sort of competition goes on, the longer we're in cups. And I don't want to give anybody at this club an excuse whatsoever. We need to be competing across all 4 competitions. We should never... One thing that drives me mad, I would sack this competition off for this competition. I'm absolutely fed up with it. We go into the season in 4 competitions usually, and I want to compete in all 4. The only reason why you're sacking off one for another is because you haven't built the squad to be able to compete in all 4. For me, if we lose this game, you find yourself in a very precarious position, and you've still got the likes of Man City to play, Liverpool to play, Aston Villa to play, Chelsea to play. You still got a lot of the big teams to play, and a lot of the points we have dropped would be against teams that you would expect Tottenham Hotspur to beat. So it becomes a very, very long season if you lose to Man United. All of a sudden, you're in the bottom half of the table, and you're just constantly trying to claw and scratch your way up the league. And it can become very draining because no matter how hard you try, the narrative is always going to be there from everybody on the outside. Look how bad Tottenham Hotspur are struggling. There's going to be no room for, look what they're trying to do. Bollocks. No room for that whatsoever. You have to go and win this game.
But they play good football. But they have a lot of pressing. It's got to get the result, right? It's got to...
Has to. Has to beat Man United.
I mean, Dave, look, it's such a big game for so many reasons. I mean, first of all, I think this sort of a result, let's look at the other side. Spurs win. I think Ten Hag is under mighty pressure. He's spent a lot of money. I know already after about 3 games this season, he had the dreaded vote of confidence from Jim Ratcliffe. And Dave, we're old enough to know that when a team gives the manager a vote of confidence, it's never normally too far down the road until that trigger is pulled. So this is a massive game because, you know, it's not just Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. You look, Chelsea have had a better start to this season, right? I don't know who all these teams have got this weekend, by the way. Actually, I'll tell you what, that would probably be a good thing to find out. You know, you've got Chelsea that are doing better. Newcastle, I'm hearing that Eddie Howe's under pressure, but he's only lost 1 of 5. And if he wins this weekend, suddenly he could be 6 points clear. So for me, I think a defeat puts huge pressure that somewhere then you need to then suddenly find 2-3 wins in a row just to keep up. And
if we lose, Champions League football is off the table. It's off. Yeah, we're not going to get top 4.
Explain what you mean by that.
If we lose to Man United, the gap is going to be absolutely massive to try and catch some of these top teams, you know. And you're sitting there every week, like you said, hoping that they're going to drop points, and you know that we take maximum points from that Man United game onwards. If we lose, you're looking at maybe the Europa League, Europa Conference League qualification in terms of the league by trying to claw it back. But you're going to have pretty much a flawless season from there on out. You know, with the way the Premier League is now. You look at the what Man City have set around the Premier League. You can only drop points in around 3 or 4 games over the course of a season. You know, you can't really afford to drop many more than that. We've already dropped about that, so that's the league title off of that. You go to Champions League football. You've probably got another 3 to 4 game scope outside of that, which over the course of the season you're going to have to allow for, a couple of games not to go your way or not to go right, which then means you're just sitting there talking about Europa League. So this game is absolutely huge to decide where we go in this league, I think, because you've also got Brighton the following week, which ain't going to be easy either.
No, absolutely. We're going to get onto those in a minute. Are you okay for time, Dave? You okay at the moment?
Yeah, more than okay.
Yeah. Cool. Good. I mean, it's really interesting because, you know, I hear a lot of people go, "Oh, it's only 4 games. It's only 5 games." Before you know it, Dave, it's going to be
10 games, 15
it's only 10 games. It's only 15. Oh, we're only at Christmas. The problem is, you're right. Look, first of all, I don't think we're going to be anywhere near a title challenge, right? I'm not knocking Spurs. I just think Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. It's slowly going that way, by the way. It's slow. If you look at the table, the top 4 is already the top 4 of last year. I expect Villa to swap places with Arsenal at some point. I don't think about that. But the aim this year will be, we finished 5th last year. Let's try and get Champions League football. Now, I'm not one of these fans, Dave, that thinks finishing 4th is a trophy. But logically, that's got to be the next step from finishing 5th last year. Yeah. What you don't want to do is, again, we don't want to fall too many points behind Chelsea, too many points behind Villa, too many points behind Arsenal, because these teams aren't going to lose that many games that allow us to catch that up. Now, if we look at this weekend, Newcastle are playing Man City, right? So one of those teams is going to get some points, probably Man City. But Arsenal are at home to Leicester. So you would expect, I would expect Arsenal at home to beat Leicester City. No offence, Leicester. And Wayne Holland, if you're watching, I know you'll be watching. I'm sorry. I do fancy Arsenal to beat your team. So that straight away puts Arsenal on 14 points. We can't be 7 points behind Arsenal after 6 games. You've then got Chelsea are playing at home to Brighton. So both teams above us, one of them's going to collect points, if not both. Then you've got Villa are away at Ipswich.
They'll win that.
Look, you know, I would expect Villa at minimum to come away with a draw, which puts them 13 points. A win puts them 15. They could be 8 points clear of us. So, you know, and then you've got Spurs, Man United. So for me, the reason I go through all that is when people talk about this great football we're playing, and that's fine, Dave, each to their own, right? That's all well and good, but now it's got to materialize into wins, right? It's got to stop being, but we're first for Field tilt. I still don't know what that is. Well, we're first for field tilt. We're first for pressing. We're first for touches in the opposition box. All of that is great, Dave. I love that. That's brilliant on paper. But you know what? If we're 8 points behind Aston Villa after 6 games, for example, who are our nearest competitors last year, are Aston Villa and Unai Emery going to sit in their training ground and go, oh, we've got to catch up with Spurs' pressing and their touches? They're going to go, we're 8 points. We're 3 wins ahead of them already. We're 3 wins ahead of Tottenham already. So it's a huge game, right? It's absolutely huge. With that in mind, what do you expect to see from Spurs? What do you expect to see from Ange? Does he continue with this Bentancur, Kulu and Maddison midfield trio going to Old Trafford? Does he continue to do that? Does he go offensive? What do you do, Dave?
Do you know what? I think we know exactly what to expect. We're going to rock up there. We're going to try and play the same way we usually do. For me, I think it's all about going at United with intensity from minute one. That's what these away games are all about for me. You don't go up there. You don't find your time to settle in and allow the home team to get comfortable in front of their fans, knock it about, look good, gain the confidence. You got to go up there. You got to impress with intensity. You got to try and attack with a bit of intensity and go at them really, really early and make them go, holy shit, this is going to be a tough afternoon. That's what we need to do. I feel like, was it last year where Bentancur scored against Man United? I thought that game, yes, we had injuries, but I thought we were very sort of tentative. I thought it was very slow. If we play that slow style of football that we've been playing, yes, we can sit here and say we have loads of possession, great. But you have to do stuff with the possession, and that's one of our biggest problems. We don't do enough with that possession. And Man United, they're going to absolutely love it if we start slowing the ball down, moving it 5 yards here, moving it 5 yards there, without any purpose about it, because all they're going to do is sit in, move side to side, wait to take the ball, play one ball over the top to Marcus Rashford or the other out, whoever's out the other side, and they're in. So, for us, it's about going at Man United with a lot of purpose, because what I've noticed with Man United down the years is if you put pressure on them, they're going to crumble. And 9 times out of 10, they'll make a mistake late in the game that'll let you go and win this game. So it's about putting pressure on these guys and going at them, not allowing them to play, not allowing them to feel comfortable. But also go there with a bit of bollocks, turn up like you deserve to be there, you're going to win this game, not go up there. Because I feel like sometimes we go up there now, it's the name of Man United, we're, under the Fergie era where we're a bit scared. You see some of the players, but Old Trafford is nowhere near the fortress it used to be. Nowhere near it. So for us, it's about going up there with confidence and saying we're going up there to beat these today, not going up there hoping for a result. And I almost feel like that's what the management and the squad, no matter who it's been, have gone up there in years gone by, bar the Jose Mourinho one where he hammered them 6-0. And it's sort of like, let's try and get a result today. We should be looking at this and going, forget the name. Let's take it what's on face value and what's on paper. They're no great shakes. Go up there, dominate them, beat them. Because for me, I think this could be a statement win for Tottenham Hotspur in terms of accelerating our Premier League season, giving us the confidence, going into the other big games, Brighton next week and stuff like that. But also, I think it puts United in a very precarious position. The manager will be sacked. It sort of almost takes them out of that European race. So go and do ourselves a favour for once. Instead of it being us in that situation where we're looking at Postecoglou again and going, because that's what's going to happen if we lose. Everyone will be back looking at Postecoglou. It's sort of like, should we sack him? I want it to be another club that's going through that turmoil, not Tottenham Hotspur. I'm fed up with it.
Agreed. And look, the funny thing is, what you said there about Ten Haag, it's difficult because I kind of don't want Man U to sack Ten Hag because I believe that they've got enough good players there that if a real top manager goes in there, could take them on a run. And we all know what new manager bounces are like. So, but you're right. I mean, in terms of, I want to go there and say, look, this isn't Man United of old. Listen, I don't think Man U are the greatest team. I don't think they're the worst team. As I said to you earlier in this show, not footballing wise, not stylistically, but I think Man U and Spurs are very similar. Apart from the trophies they win, they're very similar that Man United get these wins. Everything looks good for Ten Hag. Then they have a result and their fans go, how's he still here? Get rid of him. But you are right. Look, maybe not from within the club, but there are fans that have their doubts about Ange Postecoglou. Look, I can't lie.
I'm rightly so. I can understand it.
I am one of them. And I'll put my case forward that for me, my biggest issue, forget Forget tactics, forget this, forget press conferences, forget all of that. My biggest issue with Ange Postecoglou is the same that I would have with any football manager at Spurs. Consistency, right? At some point, it needs to stop being, we've lost a few, great win against Brentford, we're back. Oh, we've lost to Man United. It needs to be, all right, we beat Brentford. Oh, wow, look, we've backed it up now with a comfortable 2-3-0 win at United. We now go to Brighton and you go, hang on, win this. We're now 3 in a row. Fine lines, fine margins between this. So for me, by the way, I don't think he's going anywhere. I keep getting loads of stick about, oh, Ange out. Listen, it is what it is. I just want to see consistency, Dave. I want to hold my hand up after, I'm going to show you these. After these fixtures, I want to hold my hands up and say, you know what? Fair play to him. I was wrong. Maybe I was too hasty. He's proved me wrong. I want to do that, Dave. I'm just not sure he's going to do that, right? So if we have a look, can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So if we have a look, forget the Europa League games. We're just going to look at the Premier League games. Massive game, as we know, against Man United. And the thing is, that's followed by this one here, the Brighton away. And Brighton have won 2 and drawn 3, but it shows you that they don't lose at the moment. So that's going to be a tough game. And again, Brighton are going to be well set up. They're going to try and hit us on the counter-attack. Yeah. It's going to be a real good game, I think, that one. Followed by West Ham at home. Palace away, who are no mugs. Villa, who are right up there. Ipswich should be the banker. And then City away. And that takes you to December. So for me, Dave, I want to be sitting there after those 7 Premier League games with 5 wins, a draw, and a defeat. I don't want to lose, but I think you're going to lose a game in 7. If we sit there and go, okay, it's been win-win, lose, win-win, draw, I can turn around as a fan and go, I like this. There's some consistency. The players are believing in it. The results are coming. There's no excuses about players not finishing. But equally, on the flip side of that, Dave, if those 7 games are 2 wins, 3 defeats, and 2 draws, there's going to be questions asked whether or not people like Ange, they like his style. Results are everything. I know we've got a portion of the fan base pretending they're not, Dave, but results are everything. And if we have a very shaky 7 games, we're going to find ourselves in the bottom half. Equally, the other way, we're going to find ourselves right up there challenging for 4th if we have a good 7 games. So I just wonder what you may make of all that.
I think it's time for Tottenham and this squad, this manager, and that to decide what they want to be. These 7 games, if you can go and, like you said, take 5 wins out of them, different story around Spurs, different narrative, it's like, okay, maybe we were a bit hasty. Let's see where this goes. Let's see if this can continue. We're in a good position. If you lose them games, puts Postecoglou in the squad in a certain position. And look, that won't be a position that they're put in off the back of these big games. It'll be put in a position that they drop points against Leicester. They drop points so far against some of the teams that we should have beaten. Newcastle, we should have won that game. There's no way we should have dropped points in that game. That's where the pressure was put on. And at the end of the day, it's natural. In football, you don't get half a season like you used to, or stuff like that before clubs start pulling the trigger. You only 4 or 5 bad games or 4 or 5 losses on the bounce. Your job's in a position. And do you know what? One thing I'm sick of is people arguing Ange in, Ange out, and blaming each other, this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, it's the results that dictate what sort of pressure comes on, what conversations happen around Tottenham Hotspur, happen around the manager. Results and results only. It's the players that at the end of the day you should be focusing on. If they love this manager like they say they do, Son's come out, a lot of the squad have come out and said how much they love this guy. Okay, shot on the pitch, fight for his job, help him keep his job. You're a part of the reason why the pressure's on this guy, because you can't finish and you can't defend. So you go out and show how much you love this guy. But we have to go on a little run now. There's no excuses. At the end of the day, they screwed up earlier on in the season, and that people were going, look, it's only the first couple of games, relax. Okay, but we knew what games we had coming up. Like you said, the West Hams, the Cities, the Villas, the Brightons, the Uniteds. We knew we had this run coming up. That's why it was very, very important to get off to a good start. to allow for a bit of breathing period during this time. And we haven't done that. So now we're under pressure where we have to go and deliver results. And there's no excuses, you know. It's time for Tottenham to change their mentality. I'm absolutely sick of it going drawing one, losing one, winning one in these big games when they come up. Go out there. Last season, we had a lot of big games back to back, and we didn't turn up in any of them. We got rolled over in every single one, and we got absolutely dominated. We cannot allow that to happen this time so earlier on in the season. They screwed it up earlier on in the season. It's up to them now to go and show that fight, show that the grit, and go and put it right. And look, Spurs fans, stop having to go at people over Ange Postecoglou with a difference of opinion. You know, look, I'm one of Ange's biggest fans. I really like what he done at Southampton. I do think, given the right amount of time at Tottenham Hotspur, I think he'll get it right or put us on the right path going forward. Even if he doesn't win something with Tottenham, we'll be on the right trajectory once he leaves this football club. But anyone that, you know, is Ange out or questions Ange, I mean, you're completely right to. You're well within entitled to. You know, it's not just off the start of this season. It's off the back of a lot of what happened last season. And at the end of the day, results, if they're not coming in, it puts pressure on people. You know, so stop blaming the Ange out for Ange being under pressure. It's not that. He's under pressure because of the results. And it's a results-based business at the end of the day. I'm a big Ange fan. I can sit there and go, it's going to turn. Just give it patience, give it patience, give it patience. But at the end of the day, it's all about results. You know, it doesn't matter what you say Ange out. It doesn't matter what I say Ange in. It really doesn't matter. The results are going to be the one that dictates this guy's future. So I say to them players, you know, go out there. If you love this guy, go out there and keep him in his job.
No, absolutely. And look, you know what? I've taken the stance now. I said after yesterday, because you saw I had some of the abuse I got yesterday was just absolutely insane. So what I'm saying now is I'm not going to do the Ange in, Ange out. I'm not saying it. I'm not sitting here saying Ange out. I'm not sitting here saying Ange in. I'm going to sit here and say what I would say for any manager at any football club. Forget that I support Tottenham. People go, what do you think of Ten Haag? Ten Haag will stay in his job if he gets the results. What do you think of Maresca? Maresca will stay in his job at Chelsea if he gets results. And Ange is no different. Just because I support Tottenham, that theory doesn't change. So for me, Ange will be the one. Ange and the results will determine whether Ange is the manager. It won't be Savva from Football Heritage TV. It won't be David Harris from the Irish Hotspur. It won't be Last Word on Spurs and Ricky. It won't be all of these people, will it? It will be the results. And at the end of the day, all I've asked for as a fan is I just want to see a little bit of consistency because since the first 10 games of last season, there hasn't been a single period at this club where you go, we've had 5 games there where we've not lost. We've got 3 wins, 2. It's always like that. Yeah. And all I want is a bit of consistency. That way, I think a lot of the noise in the fan base from both sides of it calms down and meets in the middle and goes, okay, we're not as great as we thought. All right, we're not as bad as we thought. We're probably in here. But Dave.
But we've got something to build off. And I think that's the most important thing when you meet at that level. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, as I said, like, you know, it can't be one win against Brentford. Great. Loved it. Great win. Great football. Now, what are you made of? Go and follow that up. And I use Aston Villa as the example of this, Dave. Aston Villa this year, they put their money where their mouth is. They had a great season last year, a great end of the season last year to get 4th. This year, they started with 4 wins from 5. So straight away, you put yourself in that a little bit of breathing room. Spurs didn't. Spurs have dropped more than 50% of the points available, right? We've dropped 8 points so far. Now, where are we going to go and make those 8 points up? All right, beat Man U. Beat Brighton, right? Beat Man U, beat Brighton. Then the noise quietens down. However, lose to Man U or draw to Man U, lose or draw to Brighton as well. Now, all of a sudden, we're nowhere near it in the top 4. And all the noise of the great football, the pressing, all of this, suddenly, it doesn't mean anything, Dave. It just means that on the eye, everyone's entertained. But other clubs are going, don't worry about Spurs. So, huge game. Huge game.
But you know what, Sav? It comes back to something I said there, you know, when Conte gets sacked. And this isn't directed at you, you know. I've heard it off loads of people, you know, my comments on my fan shows and that, you know, style of football matters. We want to play the Tottenham way, the Tottenham DNA, stuff like that. Okay, well, we have that to a large degree, you know, where, you know, with Postecoglou. But You're not, and this is what I was trying to say to people at the time. You don't care about style of football. You care about winning games. There's a massive difference, So now I'm glad, the Postecoglou era has happened, because I don't want to hear anybody come to me anymore and say it's about style of football. It's not. It's about winning games at the end of the day, So I think that's the one good thing to sort of come out of the, with hiring Postecoglou, going from one extreme to maybe the other, the fact that it really does we prefer our football to be played in a certain way, but at the end of the day, all we care about is winning games of football, and that's the main thing, and that's the thing that's proven. Not many people sat there and go, oh, but the style of football is good, this is the way we want it to be played. As soon as you start losing games, everyone starts questioning, everyone starts losing buy-in and belief and stuff like that. So if we when we do need an ex-manager, hopefully it's not for another, 3 to 4 years. That we just look who's going to win us games of football, rather than style of play and all that bollocks.
Look, I think the thing for me is, I love watching attacking football more than anyone, Dave. It's my thing. I love it. I love the Barcelona. It's
not exciting when you're not creating chances and winning games, though, is it?
Right, but this is the thing. And the reason I brought the table back up is the numbers down the left-hand side from 1 to 20, right? Those numbers, Dave, don't care about the style of football, right? The column on the right-hand side, which shows your form, your wins, your draws, losses, that doesn't care about your style of football. So, yeah, I want to see football. I want to see good football. But you know what? There's this notion, Dave, that you either play brilliant football or really crap negative football. And I don't think that's the case. If I use teams like, I've watched Chelsea this year, I've watched Villa this year. I don't think either of them are breathtaking football or negative football. I think both of them have spells where they look good. They have spells where they look dodgy, but they've put points on the board, right? They've put points on the board. They're clinical. For me, do I want to see all-out Brazil from the 70s and 80s? Sure. Sure. But at the end of the day, that won't keep a manager in a job. That won't keep a manager in a job. The manager stays in his job. I don't care what anyone says via results. But so, Dave, look, here's hoping. I want to be wrong. I want to sit here in a month's time with you, right? I want to sit here at the end of October, end of November, and go, you know what, Dave? We did a show. Look at the 7 results we've got in the Premier League since. Do you know what? Fair play, Ange. Fair play. 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. We've taken 15 points from 21. We're right up in that pack, looking at 4th. Brilliant. I want to. I truly do. But they've got to go and make it happen. Not me. It's, people go, change your mindset. It's not my mindset that's going to change it. It's their performances. So, look, Dave, give me a score prediction after all that as we wrap up the show. Man United away. Man United, just quickly, by the way, Dave, Man United slowly but surely now have integrated all of their summer signings into the first 11. They didn't do it from the first game, but now Xerxes playing every game. Mazraoui and De Ligt are playing every game. They've kept 2 clean sheets on the bounce. Ugarte's just come back from injury and has played the last couple of games off the bench. Does that make a difference? What do you think the score will be?
That's a summer transfer window. That fair play to them. That's a very, very good summer transfer window. Highlight the problems, bang, there you are. Shouldn't be a problem anymore.
And all 4 go into the 11, right? All 4 go into the 11. Yeah, I agree.
And that's the thing as well. The United board can sit there now and go, okay, we've given him everything he needs to be able to plug the gaps. He's the problem. So that's one thing by having that good transfer window. They can suss out whether Ten Haag is the problem or whether it has been the squad all along that's been the problem, and he's just trying to make it work. But score prediction, look, my head's telling me 1-1. I think, it could be a bit of a dull affair. I think 1-1, but my heart, I don't know why. My heart is saying, Savva, we could go up there and roll them over, get a 3-1 maybe up there. But I'm going to go with my head on this one. I think that's probably going to be the more likely outcome, the 1-1.
Well, Dave, at the beginning of the season, I predicted 6 results. I predicted the first 6. I'm just going to show you what I predicted. For all the people that call me so negative, right? I've nearly got it spot on, and not that I'm happy with that, but nearly. Look, this is what I predicted at the beginning of the season, and you can see there. This was written before the first game, where I said, look, I think we're going to get 10 points from 18. A Man United win does give the 10 points. I've slightly changed my loss prediction. I think it will be a 2-2 draw. I think that the difficulty for me is, yes, can we get at them? Yeah, yes, we can. Will we dominate the football? Yes, we will. It's Garnacho, Rashford. It's these players on the counter-attack that, these are the next level up from Brentford on the counter-attack and Leicester City on the counter-attack. So, look, we'll see. But look, I'm 1 win away from actually getting it right. 3 wins, 2 defeats, and a draw, right? So I couldn't have been that negative. I can't have got it right.
Not bad goal. May not have been the order that you thought they were coming, but if it comes, it comes. Let's wait and see. Not going to be an easy game.
Dave, if we lose, I've actually been more positive, haven't I, than what's happened? So
toxic positivity, Savva.
Listen, Dave, thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to put the link to Dave's channel in the chat. You know where to find him by now. He's a regular fixture on the internet and on YouTube. So please get over there, subscribe. Dave, thanks so much for coming on. I love our weekly one-to-ones. Always good chat.
It's a pleasure. No, it's an absolute pleasure. I really do enjoy these. Hard to pin me down lately, but, I should be back doing these regularly with you once a week. Really do enjoy them. And thank you to the Football Heritage listeners, for listening in. And, you've been very nice to me, actually, when I've been on here in terms of comments and stuff like that. And it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's very appreciated. So thank you very much.
I don't know what it's like going into another channel and getting nice comments. So
I'm working on.
Big up to everybody in the chat. Thank you very much, Dave. Listen, take care, everyone. I won't be back doing anything else today. I'll be back live tomorrow night. Dave, what time can people catch you in the afternoon? I'm sure you're doing a pre-match.
Oh, today, yeah, I've a fan show at 7:00 if people want to tune in for that. I'm not sure what else I'm going to have a look now. I do have questions there if I want to go live for an hour and sit there and answer them like a loser on my own. I'll wait and see.
That's pretty much my channel. Listen, big up, take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.